Good evening.
Oh, thank you. Christopher Martin, 11037 Hubbard, Livonia. I'd just like to give a little bit of an update because I never did, but it's basically my 1-year anniversary of getting out of the county jail. I'd like to just talk about a little bit of that experience if I could. My paperwork had been filed with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Actually, I have two plans down there. Never had a hearing. One went through the planning department, or the planning commission, and that's all I had to do because that's what they told me at the time. And then at the last minute, they surprised me and said, oh, you're going to have to go to the zoning board on this. That was the rear of the property. The front of the property, I enclosed that or put that in another package. So at the end of the day, my paperwork has been sitting there for about 1.5 years, 2 years in the zoning board, no meeting. And I really felt if I would have had a meeting, I wouldn't have gone to jail a year ago because that paperwork was sitting there. And one of the reasons I hired Mr. Neville was to kind of work on that for me. When that didn't occur on May 6th, then when I went into court, then I fired him. And I asked Judge Kavanaugh to give me some time to find a new attorney, and that didn't happen. And was given 30 days in jail. I spent the night in the Livonia jail, and actually took my glasses, which I'm damn near blind without them, okay? And I thought that was a little bit of a safety issue, but Officer Keaton he was pretty cool. He took my fingerprints and nice looking photograph and stuff. And then the following day, morning, they came from the county to pick me up, put a chain around my waist, hooked the handcuffs I had on my wrist to that, put some leg irons on me, and put a bunch of us in the van to take out to the county. No seat belts on us, and really I thought the sheriff drove intentionally, like a nut, to get out there. So you get out there, I spent the first 3 days, they take everything you own. Spend the first 3 days, 22 of 24 hours, 7x9 cell. Didn't have my blood pressure medicine because they didn't have the correct dosage, so they didn't give me any. They had lesser dosage, but it's a mind game, they didn't give me any. So anyway, the food was really bad out there, but you have to understand that Aramark contract, it's not going to a restaurant. I actually ended up sleeping on the floor because I had the top bunk, and most people, because it's so narrow, you do sleep on the floor. Many of them did. It's no big deal. I've done a lot worse than sleeping on the floor. The orange uniform that they give you, when you go in there, if you don't have white socks, underwear, and shirt, which I didn't, then they take that because they wash all the white clothes at one time. So what happened with me was they gave me the uniform. Oh, I see my...
Mr. Martin,
Okay.
yeah, you've reached the end of your
I'm
time.
going to try to finish this at the 8 o'clock meeting.
Thank you.
Because it's an interesting story.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, Christopher Martin, Hubbard Street, Livonia. I'm just going to, it's difficult in 3 minutes, but I'm just going to continue from my 7 o'clock audience communication about my vacation at the county jail. I actually slept on the floor, and like I say, it wasn't too bad. Slept in uncomfortable places in the past. As far as the uniform that they give you, it's washed Wednesdays and Sundays. And if you don't have any underwear that's approved by the county, then when you hand in that uniform, you're naked, sitting on the floor with a blanket until your orange uniform is washed and comes back. The ironic thing about it was that the people that I met out there are really no different than a lot of the average people that you might meet in a factory. So I didn't have a real issue with anyone out there. Matter of fact, one individual, Maurice, kind of watched out because I was like the oldest guy there. And he had done 7 years in Jackson and a number of other locations in the city, or in the state. At the end of the day, though, I'm in there for building code violations. And while I was in there, I had taken the fencing down in front of my business, went into court, went to jail. When I got out of jail, I go over to the business there, and people were stealing things when I was in jail for having put up a fence that I needed to protect the property from people stealing things. Well, that's pretty ironic. But I understand how the system works. My paperwork is still there at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and maybe a hearing will eventually be set on that. So thank you.
Thank you. With a request for the consent agenda. Item number 4 is a reappointment of Matthew Hensy to the Zoning Board of Appeals. This comes to us from Councilmember Linda Scheel. This is also for a 3-year term, which will expire on July 12th of 2018. Councilwoman Scheel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to offer Matt Hensy to extend his position on the Zoning Board of Appeals. He's served for many years and has done a wonderful job, and Matt Hensy is able to join us this evening. Are you, can't find where he is. Oh, there he is. Thank you. And I'd like to offer this on the consent agenda, and Mr. Hensy, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, council members. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working on the board. We've got a very dedicated group of people that serve on the board and great support staff. I've been on for a while. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm thrilled to continue my term for another 3 years. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Council, anything on this item? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman Toy?
if I may, Mr. Hensy, I've heard you do a wonderful job on the zoning board, and I just want to congratulate you for your years of service, and I'm glad that Councilwoman Shield has selected you again. I was going to call you too, but she beat me to the punch. But no, I've heard very good things
Thank you
about
very
you,
much.
and really appreciate your hard work on the zoning board. While some may not agree, I've heard that you guys are very fair in your decisions on various issues, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. I believe there's a gentleman in the audience who has a comment behind you. Thank you very much, Mr. Hensy.
Yes, I certainly do. Christopher Martin, Hubbard, Livonia. Just a few comments on the reappointment, if I could. This is the rear of the property, the business that I have on Inkster.
Point of order,
Mr. Meekin?
Madam, he's not referring to Matt Hensy's appointment. He's going off on something that's completely irrelevant to the
All right,
appointment of Mr.
I will
Hensy.
be very clear then on it. I'm not in favor of this, and here's the reason why. When I told that I needed the fencing for that property, and I said the rear of the property had already been enclosed previously with 6-foot privacy fence, Matt Hensy's response to that was, who cares? As far as the white privacy fence, he wanted it painted black while the others sat on the council, on the zoning board at the time and snickered and laughed. Do I feel this is appropriate? No. Currently, if I can show them, I have 2 warrants out because I started putting up that fencing. So I'll be going into court sometime this week, but I have 2 warrants out for my arrest. Okay, so I'll let you know right now, citizens of Livonia, this is what happens. And that fencing would have been approved for anyone else. You see it all over Livonia. It was just politics. That's all it was with me. And that's been going on for years. I've owned that business now 10 years, okay? Matt Hensy being reappointed, I know it's all going to go through, okay? There'll be no objections. But I have a strong objection to it because he's the wrong guy. If you're looking for fair people, he's not the right guy. If you're looking for a team player, he's your team player.
Thank you.